My name is Daniela Travaglini, and I will be introducing the APF project. I'm part of the Lunadicas collective, which is one of the 7 partners of the EPF project. This is also to put into perspective what the creatives can do for this call for creators. We want to talk to you a little bit about the project. So this project is part of the SERVE program, which is Citizens, Equality, Rights and Values, which is an EU program which seeks to support the rule of law and the fundamental rights in the European Union. So how do we from EPF, which is Europe Plural Feminine project, can find our place within this program? We would like to highlight the EU policy which are available at the moment, and we want also to encourage the participation of the citizens to actually identify what actions could be needed to make concrete progress towards the achieving of gender equality across Europe. So we think that the best way is a combination of, on one side, raising awareness, and on the other side, participation from the citizens out there, because basically we want to see what are the problems in Europe that are still unsolved in order to achieve gender equality, because this is a program that it is within the European Gender Equality Strategies 2020-2025. So we want to first analyze the tools that Europe has already in place, and where we think that these tools are not enough to actually achieve and solve the problem that are still unsolved, we want to encourage citizens and the communities out there to get involved in the project and propose actions that might be needed. Because we strongly believe that we can make change happen if we combine a raising of awareness and the participation of all the citizens in the project. So how do we plan to actually get people together during this project, which is a project which lasts for 2 years? We have already started, and we will plan, the participation will be encouraged through a series of events that we will organize. We have local meetings in each country of the participant partners, which are Italy, Spain, France and Germany, and we plan global meetings which will be online. Then we will organize seminars, and then we will ask women to come and talk to roundtables about specific topics each time to our meetings, and also workshops. And we will also have what we call EPF Informa Days. That are days where we want to get together with the people who have participated and have been engaged in the project and talk together and discuss where we are now. I mean, what have we done so far and what we will be doing in the future. So again, in the spirit of complete participation to the project. So we have 7 partners, as I mentioned before, and we have Confcommercio Imprese North Sardinia, which is the leading partner of the project, and which is the largest organizations of company in the tertiary market at the territorial level. Then we have, we have our friends from Solidaridad Sin Fronteras, and an NGO founded in Madrid, which operates to contribute to social and labor inclusion for the most vulnerable communities out there. Then we have the Université de Corse, Pascal Pauli, which is among the 71 French university, and it is recognized as being an important training and research hub. Then we have ITCAM, Italienische Handelskammer für Deutschland, bilateral association promoting businesses relations in Germany, supporting enterprises and organizations both in Germany and in Italy. We also have with us XCamp, which is a startup which developed an online platform for hackathons, which have a great expertise in online education and online communication as well. And then Cámara de Comercio e Industria Italia para España, an association of Italian and Spanish entrepreneurs and professionals supporting those who want to internationalize their business. The partners in this project. But where does the project come about? So basically, as we said, this project is within the achieving gender equality in between, by 2025, as per the European strategy on gender equality. So what can we do about that? How do you actually measure gender equality? This is where we started for this project. And these topics are what are the topics that are going to be used for our local and global meetings to discuss and participate together. So basically this index by the Social Institutions and Gender Index measures gender equality across Europe in each and every country, considering these 4 dimensions, which are called 4 macro areas. Within each of these macro areas, of course, there are many other topics that can be discussed in details. So the 4 macro areas are discrimination in the family, restricted physical integrity, restricted access to productive and financial resources, and restricted civil liberties. So within these 4 macro areas, we have to identify what is going on, what is working and what is not working. So some may think that maybe is this still necessary? Is this still needed at this point? And we actually think that unfortunately it is still needed, because we were just picturing this. If you live in a gender equal Europe, you would think that each person, man or woman, would be free to pursue their chosen path of life. But is this really happening now? Unfortunately, this is not, and we have some figures shows us, and this is only the figures that we take from reported case, but 33% of women in EU have experienced physical or sexual violence. Sadly enough, 22% of women in EU actually have experienced violence by an intimate partner, and 55% of women in EU have been sexually harassed or are much more likely to experience online harassment than men. And then again, if we think of a gender equal Europe, we would assume that we all have equal opportunity to thrive in economy and in society. But is this really happening? Unfortunately, again, this is not. As we can see, women earn on average 16% less of the men, and employed women are 67% compared to 78% of men. And also on average, women's pensions are 30% lower than men. And then this is a very important point, because there's so much talk about care work. 75% of unpaid care and domestic work, unfortunately, is still done by women, which makes a big difference on all the other fields as well. And also, if we think of leading Europe, if we think, in a gender equal Europe, we should think that anyone, man or woman, could lead and could equally participate in the economy and in our society. But unfortunately, here again, we are not there yet, as just over 7% of board chairs are by women and CEOs are women, and only 22% of AI programmers are women. And this is another topic that we will actually address in one of our future local meetings in a couple of months. And only 39% of members of the European Parliament are women, which we probably should remind ourselves when we go and vote for the European election in a few days. So how can we help Europe tackle this? So we think there are 3 levels in which EU can activate change, always keeping in mind this very important concept. So it's gender mainstreaming. This is nothing new. Actually, it's been around the concept for over 30 years, and it is the integration of gender perspective in each and every preparation and design of EU policies and regulatory measure and spending programs. So every time the EU designs spending programs and policies, they have to keep the gender perspective into account in order to make a really fair and gender equal policy that could work. Also intersectionality, I mean, this is extremely vital. And again, this has been the concept for over 30 years, because the thing is, each of us, every person has a multiple intersectional identities. You're not just a woman, you're not just white, you're not just from a certain countries, and many other aspects of a person. So to address a gender inequality, you might need to check also the overlapping system of discriminations that might happen if you fall into more than two or more grounds of identities that could be discriminated. So this is, again, when EU makes policies, they have to take into account all these aspects of a person. And also, of course, very important is the funding. I mean, gender equality related projects need to be supported and funded by the EU programs, which is what we are doing now. I mean, like the EPF projects, there have been many before, and hopefully there will be many others, if needed, funded by Europe to make sure we are right on track to achieving gender equality. So if we want to put things, everything in, gender equality without leaving it, taking away from an abstract concept, but actually seeing what are the actions that we need to make sure they are in place to achieve gender equality, we have to, first of all, end the gender-based violence, fight gender stereotypes, close the gender gap in the labor market, have equal participations in different economic sectors, and of course, achieve gender equality at decision-making levels and political levels. So all these actions, if we all make the efforts to make them happen and ask, the policy we need to make sure this happens, we probably can get that all together. And if you want to know more about the EPF project, we are on EPF-CERV.eu. And please do follow us on our social medias channels and on our website for all the information about the topics we are going to talk about during the meetings and how you can participate. So again, this is us getting together and participate. And as I mentioned before, if you could please spare a few moments at the end of the call to fill in the EU survey, which is a very useful tool, we think, to let EU know how you feel about these events we are organizing, and also we will know how you feel about them, and we can actually make very precious stories from that. So hope you've enjoyed and hope you will be with us again. We will organize other meetings online in the future, and thank you all for being with us.